They're just a modern take on a classic vehicle. They're basically the same system in all the vehicles that we do. The battery packs, the motor, the single speed gearbox that was developed by our partners Electrogenic in the UK. It's essentially all the same system, but it's the packaging which is difficult, and the integration, the software integration, and getting the vehicles to drive nicely as you've just driven, and they drive beautifully. They're not overpowered.
Okay, this is John Y.K. Lee. I'm back, and I have an interesting video today. This is my visit to a friend of mine who is converting classic vehicles to electric here on the East Coast. Now, there's several of these companies out on the West Coast, EV West, for example, as well as others. But what's exciting is my friend Andrew Whittam, who's doing this here on the East Coast to old English cars. Now, if you have primarily Toyotas and Hondas like I have, we don't want to change the engine. The engine's great. It lasts forever. But let's say you have an engine that's not as reliable, or one that perhaps could use in a performance upgrade. What if you love the beautiful look and you have a vehicle that doesn't have any rust and you want to preserve it and still get excitement from moving fast? And this is where EVs can provide some of that value. And so let's take a listen. Quick run. So I first visited Andrew Whittam 2022, and at that time I got a chance to drive a old Defender that he was converting. This was his first one, and he was not yet at that time partnering with Electrogenic, who provides the kit and some of the software. Instead, he was doing this all on his own. He was sourcing old Tesla batteries, he was finding the motors, he was programming it himself, and that was really quite unique. He called this yellow one the Wasp, and it was really fun to drive. It didn't have the diesel engine rumble that we're accustomed to and that you just heard, but it was smooth, driving really well. But now we got to fast forward 3 years, and technology's changed. It's rapidly changing. EV technology is rapidly changing. In fact, they tell you, lease a vehicle, don't buy, because it's changing so fast. And I see that even with the technology that Andrew is using here. So we're going to go through some of this. I did not realize that the motors that they're using are AC. Batteries store DC, and they got to convert it to AC. For some reason, I just thought, okay, DC battery, you use a DC motor. An inverter converts AC to DC or DC to AC backwards and forwards. Of course, I know this because of solar. We have solar panels create DC, and we got to convert that to AC. But here,
that's the inverter. So this sits in there. That's underneath, and the inverter, everything is water cooled, and that you have the DC coming in here, and then the three-phase AC going out there to the motor. So that sits up underneath.
the motor is AC?
Yes, the synchronous motor.
Oh.
Yeah.
So all the EVs use AC motors?
Some very older ones used like forklift motors, but they're very inefficient.
The original ones were DC.
Yeah.
Oh.
A couple of major issues. You couldn't do regenerated brakes with
Right.
DC motor, and if they fail, they tended to fail on.
Oh, did they?
So that you would be.
Oh, wow.
Synchronous motor was much more powerful, much more compact, better controlled.
More efficient.
More efficient.
So that's the transmission.
So I was just saying, this is what we developed in the UK. It's a single-speed helical gearbox that we use in all the vehicles, including the military Land Rovers. Everything uses basically the same motor depending on power, and the gearbox, and we've just changed the gear ratios. So a Land Rover, I think, is 1.75. I know that the Jaguar is cheaper 2-to-1.
Battery technology is rapidly changing. The prices are coming way down. I bought lithium iron phosphate batteries for solar storage in my house, but those are not as energy dense. Cars mostly are using NMC batteries, nickel, manganese, cobalt. These are more energy dense. They can provide power much more rapidly. Their discharge is faster, but they're a little bit prone to thermal runaway, so you need an excellent battery management system. That's the main battery pack there. Oh, wow.
My friend went to Colorado.
Look at the size of this thing.
This is 62 kilograms.
Really?
That's 90.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
because it's very heavy, flat fronted.
Right.
I think that one was 7.
last time I was here, you were sourcing used Tesla battery packs.
Yeah, that was just not. It's just not.
Yeah, because it's intermittent availability. Yeah. You were showing me those last time. You're not doing that anymore. Electrogenic, and where do they get their batteries from? What?
They're generally LG batteries from Poland, or it's like most things, China.
So, and is it NMC?
Thing you wouldn't ask me because the actual chemistry I was going to ask them today, and I can't remember.
Okay.
No, the big V12 engine, which is actually still at Steve's, wrapped up behind, is so heavy. This overall, and I'm going to take it down to a weigh station, which is just across the river. I think it's like 50 to 100 pounds heavier because you've got the big pack in the back. But the gas tank in these was ginormous, and the engine was very heavy in the gearbox. Yes, I can show you. Yeah. So any vehicle needs a 12-volt battery
Yep,
to control,
yep.
like yours.
Yep. Yep.
That's the AC compressor. It's got AC in it. So that's 400-volt. That
Yep.
AC compressor.
Wait. How does the AC compressor work off 400 volt? You can custom buy them now.
Yes. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
That's the inverter there, which it's not underneath because we don't have enough space. So that's the inverter, the AC, DC to AC,
Okay.
and that's the coolant you can see coming in. And that's that's again the VCU, the vehicle control units there. It's a packaging that's just a tricky thing.
Yes.
And especially
Yes.
very tight.
That's right.
environment.
This is one of the tiniest cars.
Yeah, so the coolant, you've got AC at the front, the black radiator, and then you've got the regular radiator cooling the whole system. That's the head tank. And then in front of there, is the hydraulic pump for the steering.
The weight change isn't that much, but some cars it might be.
It might be.
And you'd have to change the
This is actually better because this massive 25-gallon tank, which is super heavy, and of course when you drain it, the weight balance is all. So I think this is actually 52-48 balance now. So
But doesn't do we have to change the suspension to 20?
we recommend on the Defender to put in heavier springs just in the front. That's all. And this one we didn't. It's just perfectly balanced because it's got torsion bars. We just. But you can see the pattern here. This is pretty cool if you want to film it.
So here we're going to see him remove the cover of the trunk where the gas tank used to be, and here we're going to find batteries.
So this is a big pack.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a big pack compared to that little one we saw for the. So combined, this is 62 kilowatt hours. On the charger,
Wow.
the charger comes through here.
And you make it, these just wood? Or
That's the original.
That's the original?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the tank was.
DC,
This is DC.
and then they're
these,
communicating in series or something.
this is the communication.
Okay.
But they're all in series.
And then what are those?
So you've got the smaller cable is the AC coming in from the charger.
Okay.
That's coming in from the charger.
I can't believe that's original.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the AC is that one coming in from this.
Oh,
And then you've got
okay.
the two big DC.
Right.
The two big DC cables are coming in from the fast charging.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What is the plan? You know how America now, everybody's going to NACS charging the.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to do for that?
Well, ultimately, we
Switch.
do it, but you can just get a.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so the weight balance is actually better.
I still can't believe it's a wooden piece of plywood.
So I mean,
Literally have to do that. My gosh.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Super nice. Like the.
Love the way the hood opens. I think that's the best part.
It is rather beautiful.
What's that? So here you see the Jaguar and that he's converted, and it's almost ready. It's ready to be driven, and there's some minor little pieces left, but it's a beautiful vehicle, and he's going to go through the entire drivetrain for us. I believe this is a late 70s vehicle with a V12 engine, Series 3, but the bumper's been changed so it doesn't have that obnoxious giant rubber bumper that the Series 3 had. And actually, he showed me.
So we've got the coolant radiator here.
Yep.
And then you've got the hydraulic pump there.
And that hydraulic is for what
For
again?
the power steering.
Power steering. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, so that, and then you've got the inverter up here.
Okay.
That's the onboard charger here, which is hidden on this one,
Okay.
the DC to AC. And then you've got the
So when you say inverter here, this is the DC 400 volt to the
AC.
three-phase AC. Wow.
yeah. So you can see all the AC
Got it.
three-phase coming out here.
I did not understand that.
This is all the coolant for which goes around the whole system that comes with the motor.
And the coolant goes into the motor.
It goes to the onboard charger
Uh-huh.
and the inverter
Uh-huh.
and the motor,
Wow.
not the batteries.
Not the
No,
batteries.
the batteries
Okay.
don't. So this is the coolant for the motor.
Uh-huh.
And then this is the gearbox, the single speed gearbox. And that's got 2 to 1 written on it. Yes, it's got 2 to 1.
Okay.
And then it goes. This there's a drive shaft
Yep.
and it's something in there.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. That's the drive shaft.
And then the drive shaft is completely normal.
Okay. Yep. This is the differential.
Yeah.
And
And these are the cables coming from the charger
uh-huh.
port. And these are the cables coming from the control cables coming from the rear pack.
Got it. Okay, got it. So this is just connecting these two because you had to separate them physically.
Yes.
Otherwise, it would normally be just all under here in the new vehicles. That's
Uh,
one big battery on it.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, the Teslas.
Yeah, yeah.
One big slab.
Yeah. And then that's the charging cable. Got it. Three, because it's you can have AC.
And then the 2 DC.
Got it. And you can.
And this
Okay.
black cable, here's the control cable, the
Uh-huh.
cable from that rear.
Uh-huh.
All this is IP68.
Uh-huh. So you don't need to do
No,
anything
it is-
more.
We've got video of that Land Rover. If you like.
Uh-huh.
In the
In-
UK, they've got one
Uh-huh.
with water up to the.
Huh.
Yeah, you completely submerge all this in water because it's all heavily protected. It might
Yeah.
not look like it, but this is all gland sealed.
Uh-huh.
These DT connectors are all IP68
Wow.
connectors. Yeah. You'd think.
Yeah.
Um,
You have to hide the wires or something, but I guess you do have some like PVC or something or metal. These are metal. These are metal. Yeah.
and if you look, they're slightly above the. They.
Yeah, slightly recessed.
I mean, I guess if you drove over, you'd really have to drive over something.
Yeah, I mean, this is for show. You're not going to really. This part is fascinating. Dashboard Control Unit, the DCU, and what he's going to explain here is how they can take electrical signals, convert it to analog so that the meters reflect what that you want to see. So speedometer, you can get a speedometer, your battery state of charge becomes your fuel gauge. I mean, this is fascinating. This is just like next level packaging just to make use of your analog meters.
DCU, I can show you, which is a dashboard control unit. And so all the digital information from the car comes and it gets converted to analog.
Uh-huh.
And then
Really?
so I can show you.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you don't have any stupid gauges. So
digital things.
now this is the only anomalous thing. So the fuel gauge is the state of charge, so that should go to full.
Oh, wow.
And it's pretty accurate actually. I'll just turn this down. So that will go up. It's quite slow reaction. It'll go up to 100, so I've just charged it. The water coolant is the coolant
Uh-huh.
temperature, box clock. The oil pressure gauge is quite clever. So if there's a fault, the oil pressure light will come on, which is over there. And this will go to a figure that we can then decode.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh, that is pretty. That's your error codes.
yeah, and then, that's a 12-volt battery. What's really cool, I should have showed you while I'll open the bonnet again. The speedo is driven from a cable on the gearbox. Now there's no gearbox.
Yeah.
So how do you drive the speedo? So
And we'll go back.
speed.
Oh, the technology is really changing by the.
So you see this GPS receiver, there's two.
Yeah.
One for Sirius radio and one for the
Okay.
speed hut. Now that sends a signal to this speed hut here
Okay.
that then drives that cable. There's a little electric.
I see. I see.
So that just drives the speedo.
Uh-huh.
And does that give you like a comparable of like your amp draw?
No, the speedo, speed.
Oh, the speed.
So it's basically just using GPS.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
But there is a feed from our motor as well, because we calibrate the motor, which is single speed, and that also feeds in for a dual thing. But the tacho, you see, it's gone to 3,500.
Yeah, why is that?
So the tacho, we thought of just running on. These motors run up to 12,000 RPM, so you can divide it by 2, and you. But the thing is, so what they've done instead is the tacho goes to mid, and then okay. So when you put your foot down, you can see it, and then it will show.
Oh, I see. Regen and
And then
power.
it goes back. It goes to regen.
I see.
So really, apart from this drive selector,
Yeah,
there's nothing anomalous.
that is
Yeah.
so cool.
all the gauges with the new technology.
Well, it is, and that's why
Yeah, I mean,
we've done it properly. And it takes a lot of design, testing, and ingenuity from the guys in. It's not me; it's the guys in electrogenic, and that's why I, partnered with them and the partners over in the US.
they have.
But essentially, it's the same technology, the same equipment that's in every vehicle that we do now, apart from there's certain ones like we do in Miatas, which have got a very separately, differently packaged. Minis, the original Minis we do. But all the big cars, if you like, including Aquaman, Jason Momoa, we did his 1927 Rolls Royce.
Here?
Yeah.
No, in the UK. Have you not seen it?
No.
He's got a TV channel.
Oh, no. All right, this is Dr. Lee. I'm here with Andrew Whittam, and he's an amazing guy, just converting these beautiful Jaguars, these beautiful Land Rovers to electric. And I just wanted to ask him, how'd you get into this?
Well, thanks, John. Yeah, it's been a quite a journey. I started life off initially as an aircraft engineer, so I did aeronautical engineering in the UK. You can obviously hear I'm from the UK, and that was my passion within the aircraft industry. And then I went into actually flying. So I was flying all around the world, and you had to be an aircraft engineer and a pilot, a professional pilot, when I was in Papua New Guinea in the outback of Australia, working for a relief organisation. And then I spent 9 years doing that. And then I started off in the airline industry, and I finally ended up latterly and during COVID as a 777 British Airways captain.
So I see. So you're in the middle of New Guinea or this like underdeveloped country or developing country, and you have to figure out how to fix your plane. There's nobody there.
Absolutely. I've literally replaced engines, rebuilt engines, replaced wings, replaced undercarriages, fixed. I mean, I could show you pictures of all sorts of things we did. Crazy things where we had local people literally in native garb, which is a penis cord and arse grass and a bone through their noses, literally holding up aeroplanes, small bush planes, while I repaired wheels or undercarriages and stuff. And they
Wow.
have to stand there and hold it up
Wow.
for hours sometimes on the side
Wow.
of airstrips. So yes, that was real bush engineering.
Yeah. So then your passion for Land Rovers, because you're British and you have these incredible vehicles off-road, and then why electric?
Well, I moved to the States because of my wife, who's American, and a friend of ours who actually owns this beautiful facility, this amazing old factory built in 1920. This is just a small part of it, obviously. He suggested to me 2 years ago that I make an electric Porsche 911 for him. And I said, no, that would be ridiculous. But I said, hang on a second, I do have an old series Land Rover, which I could maybe develop. And so even though I was flying and it was during COVID, well, just before COVID, actually, we started the business here over in this facility just behind us to build the prototype Land Rover series. And we did that, and you drove it a few years ago. And then we decided that really to be economic and do it professionally, we had to do it full time. So during COVID, I retired or resigned from British Airways because it was pretty awful having to commute. And then the flying during COVID was horrible. Committed fully to doing this business.
Well, this is great because I've been here, as he mentioned before, with the Land Rovers, and I've got a chance to drive them. But this is unique. We have today a Jaguar. And what are your thoughts? The Land Rover, obviously very different vehicles, but
Yeah.
just your thoughts in converting the two.
As I mentioned earlier, I'm sure you're show your viewers the actual system. They're basically the same system in all the vehicles that we do. The battery packs, the motor, the single speed gearbox that was developed by our partners Electrogenic in the UK. It's essentially all the same system, but it's the packaging which is difficult, and the integration, the software integration, and getting the vehicles to drive nicely as you've just driven, and they drive beautifully. They're not overpowered. They're just a modern take on a classic vehicle. So it's the packaging that's really, really difficult, and that's what a lot of time and money and intellectual property has been spent on, especially the Jaguar, because it's a very low profile, very beautiful vehicle. So packaging the batteries is actually quite difficult.
Yeah.
The Land Rovers are a big a big aluminium box, so they're much easier.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, one day we'll see. I am looking forward to more electrification of these vehicles. Maybe we'll see. But this is really exciting. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time today.
Let's go and drive the Defender.
Okay. Sounds
All right,
good.
that's enough talk. That's enough teaching. Let's take these guys out for a ride.